Very cheerful evening to one and all present in the meeting. I would like to begin by thanking our Pro Vice Chancellor, Engineering and Technology, Dean, College of Engineering and Technology, HOD, EC Department, all the faculty members of EC Department, and the management for giving us the opportunity to host this event. It's my privilege to welcome you all to the third day of workshop on photonics and photovoltaic devices. A special mention to our invited guest, Dr. Vivek Kachatia, for gracing us with your presence. Also, I welcome all the participants who have joined us virtually for this workshop. The Department of ECE SRMIST, in association with Optical Society of America and Optical Society of India, is organizing this virtual workshop on photonics and photovoltaic devices. The aim of this workshop is to provide a clear pathway to access the photonic technologies available to researchers in India so that more of our big ideas can be transformed into solutions. This workshop will provide an introductory overview to various topics like machine learning for photonics, visible light communication, and teleportation. On the day one of WOPPD, we had Dr. Daniel Milati, who threw light on the machine learning techniques for photonics and also grating couplings and metamaterials. Yesterday, on the day 2 of WOPPD, we learned the different terminologies in photonics and the steps in teleportations on a photonic chip. Now, I call upon Dr. Shanti Prince, Professor at Department of ECE, to introduce our speaker for the third day, Dr. Vivek Kachatia, to the participants.
Thank you, Bettina. Indeed, it's a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Vivek Kachatia for this virtual workshop, and a very well-known person. He's been associated with SRM for more than 7 years, and he completed his engineering from Mumbai University in the year 2011, and he completed his master's degree from SRM University in the year 2014, and he joined doctorate program at SRM University and worked in the area of optical access network in the year, got the degree in the year 2019. His area of research includes radio over fiber, passive optical network, and software defined network. And we are very proud to state that he was a recipient of CSIR Fellowship Award as a Senior Research Fellow. And while he was performing PhD, he received this award. In 2019, he was working as an adjunct faculty in NIT Nagpur, where his work was very well appreciated by his peers, and his term was extended. But currently, he is working as an assistant professor in VJTI Mumbai. And to his credits, Dr. Vivek has published several articles in international reputed journals and conferences, and his highly indexed papers, journals he has published. He is an active member of IEEE and OSA from the year 2014. And while he was at SRM, he was vice president of SRM OSA student chapter. And that was a time when this SRM OSA student chapter was initiated, and many events were conducted during those period. And with that momentum, the wheels which those team start rolling, and this still continuing. And I hope that the same trend will continue. And we wish Dr. Vivek a very happy academic year ahead. And he is also a life member of Optical Society of India. And he's a very active researcher and very much interested in access networks and related area. And we wish him all the best for his research work in future as well. I now welcome Vivek Kachatia to deliver his hands-on session. And I'm really proud to have my own student to conduct a hands-on session for the virtual workshop which we are conducting. Virtually, it is an international webinar, we can tell. And Dr. Vivek has a part in our international workshop. We are very proud of it. Okay, thank you, Vivek. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Web, for this introduction.
Okay.
So, class, today I'm going to share few things with you. So, you might have received my email already. In that, I have asked you to do three things. First is you should have a MATLAB in your computer. Second is can I
I
can I
have
have
given
it?
permission to share your screen, Vivek.
Yes.
You can share your screen.
Okay. Is my
Yeah,
screen
it's
visible?
visible. It's visible, Vivek.
Okay. Good evening to one and all professors present here. Good evening, participants. So today I'm going to present today I'm going to present Optilux and open source optical communication toolbox. We are going to see the hands-on session how to use Optilux software. So this is the session number 3 of workshop on photonics and photovoltaic devices, WPPD. So welcome to session number 3. Myself, I am Dr. Vivek Kachatia, Assistant Professor from Electrical Department of VJTI Mumbai. Let me give you some introduction about my college. So my college is situated at Mumbai and it was established in 1887 as Victoria Jubilee Technical Institute, and it has pioneered India's engineering education, research and training ecosystem. So this was the first institute established in Asia region. Pre-independence, VJTI has been instrumental in driving industrial growth throughout United India. And post-independence, VJTI played a vital role in setting up all the IITs and REX Institute. Currently, VJTI is known for its high quality technique, teaching, collaborative research, industry connect, and strong alumni network. So with this background, let me tell you how we are delivering this lecture today. So let's come to our topic and let's start with our hands-on session. So how we are delivering our lecture today. So right now I am sitting at my place and this is Mumbai. I am right now in Mumbai. So can you see the pointer? This is my home. I am sitting here and
Yes, sir, it's visible.
yes. So let's assume that my laptop is connected to Wi-Fi. Okay, so this Wi-Fi is at home. I'm using Hathway's internet. So internet is provided by a central office, or we can say a service provider, which company name is Hathway. Hathway has provided me the network through a ring network, or we can say through a remote node. One coaxial cable came at my place and I have connected. Now while delivering, I am delivering this lecture in a digital mode. So this all the information are now packetized and sent from my location to the remote node, from the remote node to the central office of the Hathway. Now from the central office, all it is connected in a ring. So those students who are right now in Mumbai and suppose they are using their mobile phone for connection or a PC. So those who are using their PC in the Mumbai and suppose they are using internet connection of Airtel, then this all the data will go to that particular service station. And if and depending on the device you are using, whether you are using your PC connectivity or whether you are using your mobile phone, depending on that, it will follow a certain architecture. If it is 4G, if your mobile is connected, then it will go under 4G architecture. If you are connected using fiber to the home, then it will go to that particular architecture. So this is the scenario number 1. So your PC is connected to the Wi-Fi or landline. That particular net connection will be provided. Okay, so this is just for a metropolitan area network, or we can say the reason if students are here in Mumbai. Suppose students are not in the Mumbai, if they are in Chennai, so we have one trunk network which connects multiple metropolitan area network. So whatever data I have transmitted from my computer, it will all go to this optical metropolitan area network ring. From here, it will be dropped to trunk network. Through trunk network, it will come to the Chennai's optical metropolitan area network. And then through your service provider, your information will be disseminated or it will come to at your place. So this is my first architecture. In second case, suppose my laptop is connected to the host hotspot. So what will happen in that particular case? So I have my mobile phone over here. I have turned on my hotspot and now my laptop is connected to hotspot. So all the information which I am right now transmitting, it won't go through this particular network, but it will follow a different path. So what, as I have said in previous slide, I am using Wi-Fi of Hathway. So it will go to central office of Hathway. Now I am using internet connection through my mobile phone and I'm using a SIM card of Geo, suppose. So through Geo's architecture, it will come to central office of Geo, or we can say that particular company, and then it will be again put on the same metropolitan area network and it will be put on the same trunk network. So in these two example, which I have just now said, can you tell me where is the optics and how does it help? So optics are everywhere. If you look here, the red color line, that is interconnection of many central offices or many service providers in a particular region, they are connected through optical fibers. Many different metropolitan area network are connected each other through optical fiber. Okay. Many service providers directly provide optical cable at home. That is called as fiber to the home services. So now, where is optics and how does it help? Let me answer this question first. So, Metina, can it be like a student can speak to me whether that kind of unmute is possible?
Yes, sir, they can
Yes.
unmute.
So, a student, you can right now answer this question. We know the mobile phone evolution, right? So how I will just show you. So it was started from here, voice line. So let me give you a little introduction. So my grandfather had this kind of phone. Whenever he want to make a call to some another one, he used to first roll this device. So this phone is connected to the service provider. Then from the service provider end, they will say, okay, Mr. Kachatia, where you want to dial a number. So he will say, I want to dial a number to so and so person. Then again, that timing will be fixed. So at that particular time, whenever you receive a call, so from the both end, user A and user B, both of them will receive the call at the same time, and then they will talk, and then the phone will be hanged. So this was the initial days of communication, how it was happening. The later on we had a landline. So this also you might have seen. Then we had a wireless landline. Okay. Then we had a small phone of 2G. And today we have a smartphone with us, right? So I believe, student, you might have seen these two generations. So you can relate it how this evolution took place, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And teachers or my colleagues can look from here to here, or maybe from here to the end, how this evolution took place. Okay, I know some of you might be thinking that where I am taking you all. So please look, this is for general people view. Right now we are looking this because even 10th standard student can relate to this. But as an engineer, okay, when we look at this situation, first we have to learn. As an engineer, how we look at this evolution. So first we have to take this particular section of this phone, which are public switch telephone network. They are connected to PSTN, and a lot of network issues were there, which were solved by engineers at that time, and they gave up many ideas. Later on, this evolution took place in this particular section, and there are two types. First is ISDN network and another is digital subscriber line, DSL. Okay, so when you learn this, you will able to understand each and every point of or we can say a landline phone. So first, let me give you in a one line, this digital subscriber line, this concept was used just to deliver internet through transmission line, or what we can say a twisted pair cable. So on your same landline phone, you will be receiving internet as well as landline connectivity. Sorry, landline connectivity as well as your voice. Whereas ISDN was at that time breakthrough idea was there. In ISDN, two things were done. One is whatever is your voice or data was transmitted through a separate frequency band, and whatever is the control information that are there from the transmitter end to the receiver end, that was sent in some different frequency package. So now your data plane and control plane are separated. So both are following the same path, but the here frequency is different. So ISDN was mainly designed to deliver data, voice and video. Okay, and your DSL was initially designed just to deliver internet connectivity through the same twisted pair transmission line. So as an engineer, if we are exploring this point, we should know. Now it comes that how to see the architecture of 2G network. So architecture of 2G network was GSM mobile communication. You might have learned in mobile communication class. And one more, along with GSM, CDMA1 came, which was more secure and always available kind of network, right? We all have learned this. Then comes the 3G mobile, where slowly we have started introducing internet in our mobile phone, and the technique which we use was UMTS and CDMA 2000, right? Now for current 4G mobile, we have three available technique that are basic LTE long-term evolution, we have LTE Advanced and LTE Advanced Pro. Now in near future, we might see WiMAX, that is 4.75 generation, and then 5G. Okay, so sir, you have asked us where is optics and how does it help? And you have shown all the diagrams, but still now you have not shared with us, sir, where is optics in it? So let me tell you, if you are making a phone call from this device, PSTN, you can only access another PSTN device. Okay, so this is the one thing. If you are making a call using 2G network, then you can only reach up to 2G network. You cannot receive a call from the 3G device in 2G earlier days. Then later on, integration took place. So this all integration is happened because your network is in the backend, it is connected to a larger pipe. Okay, so if you just assume that certain amount of bandwidth is required for 2G communication, certain amount of bandwidth is required for 4G communication. So from 4G, you are able to call 2G person also. Why? Because your backend is supporting. So what is that backend? Backend is nothing but your optical fiber. So if you just have a look of this small diagram here, you will see, you can able to see that optical fiber is connected everywhere, right? So this connectivity actually enables you to have all of this feature. Not only this feature, but in future, if your TV is connected, if your fridge and ovens are connected, then this all is possible only because of optical fiber is there at the back end. So now, where is the optics? Optics actually provides interconnection to all the devices which we are using in day-to-day life. So right now, suppose you are here at the office, you have started your journey towards your home, and certainly you remember like, okay, my AC takes 25 minutes to cool down my entire room. So if there is a way that I can turn on my AC 25 minutes before, so is it possible? Yes, in smart home appliances, it is possible. Only thing is your AC has to be connected to Wi-Fi. Once it is connected to Wi-Fi, it means it is connected to your network. So you just have to set up something. Once you type that particular SMS, it will received by a smart device, and it will keep this, it will turn on this AC where you are while you are traveling. So who is doing all these things? Since backside is optical network, you can transmit all the data. Okay, are we the alone right now? If suppose we are 40 people, are we the only 40 people right now on the earth? No, there are many more people. So somebody who want to live stream something, okay, who is recording and live streaming something. If somebody is taking photograph and sending to their friend, please check out this photograph whether lighting condition is correct or not. Or somebody is just securing his data. So all of these people are connected on the network. Okay, so can you assume how much will be the traffic content? And let me mention, if some person is doing surgery from their remote location, okay, some emergency case is there, so they are doing certain amount of surgery. So there also they require a very little delay. All of this simultaneously possible only because of optical network. So what actually the optical network do, or what does optics do? So irrespective of their standards and protocol of the particular network or device, optics connects. And I believe Optigen will do the same.
Yes, Vivek,
Yes.
we'll do it.
Yeah. So now this is the basic example of optical network. So right now we are here at the access network end. We are delivering the content which is being stored at some other another data center, and traffic is transmitted through this access network to a metropolitan area network. Again, it is coming back to access network, and it is being stored at some place. Okay, suppose we have another participant who is right now not in India, then through long haul communication, we can transmit the information over here. Okay, so they can also able to see. So this is the idea of optical network. And today using Optilux, we are going to design this entire network. Okay, or we can design this entire network. So whenever we design any network, one thing is very common, that you have to design a one link, that is one optical transmitter, one optical receiver, and the channel. And when both of them are transmitting and receiving, it is called as optical communication, right? So we are going to establish a simple link of optical communication, one transmitter, one receiver, and the channel. Later on, you can add and make your entire access network, metropolitan area network, and the long haul network. So today we are going to learn how to design optical communication. So for that, we know we need one optical transmitter, we need one optical receiver, and we need one channel. When we say channel, we know my channel is nothing but optical fiber. Now let's design all these 3 points. So while designing optical transmitter, or in fact any transmitter, whenever you want to design, uh, we need first of all the information which we want to transmit, right? Once you have that particular information, you can modulate that information on light, it will be optical communication. If you modulate on the high frequency, it will be microwave communication, or depending on the carrier, your name will change. Okay, so first thing important is, very important is, first we should have one information with us. So once we have the information, we will modulate this information. Okay, right now we are talking about optical communication. So second thing, very important at optical transmitter, is laser source. So once we have a light, we have our information, I know I have to modulate my laser with respect to the information. So I can do it directly, or I can use an external modulating device, that is Mach center modulator, and I can modulate the laser with respect to the information. So this is my information which I want to transmit. I will feed this information as well as this laser signal on Mach center modulator. So I will get information in terms of light. Now I'm using optical fiber to transmit this information from transmitter to receiver. Now at receiver end, I will be receiving all this information here. Since my information is in terms of light, first of all, I need optical filter which can filter out other wavelengths, and it can drop only a certain wavelength which is required or which is intended for me. Then once I have that particular filter, I have to fall, uh, I, I, I have to send all the energy of this optics on photodetectors. So what photodetector will convert optical to electrical conversion. So this is how my optical receiver will look alike. Okay. Okay. So again, this is the information which I have transmitted through optical fiber, and here I have received. So today we are going to set up this link using Optilux. So Optilux is an open source toolbox, and this toolbox supports MATLAB and Octave. So today we are going to use the MATLAB. Using Optilux, we can design, simulate, and analyze the optical communication system. Okay, it is a toolbox of MATLAB, and it was created by Professor Paulo Serena, and it is registered under a general public license version number 3. Hence, we called it as an open source Optilux. So using Optilux, first we are going to generate some bit pattern. Okay, it also we can also do multi-level modulation, and we can also transmit multiple wavelengths. Now, this Optilux toolbox has several functions written in MATLAB. So we are going to call the function individually. So how we are going to do? Suppose I need a laser at my transmitter. So in MATLAB, we are going to call the function laser source. Okay, which has some power, peak power. It will have some wavelength at which the wavelength of this particular laser and spacing of this particular laser. So we will give 3 information. So this E will actually represent my laser light. Okay, and this function is already written in MATLAB toolbox. So I have sent you one file, and I assume that you might have unzipped that particular file. So kindly now go to MATLAB simulation window, create a new document, and save this file at this particular location. So I have sent one zip file. Inside that particular zip file, you will find Optilux_1 0.1 folder. Inside this particular folder, you will get Optilux_files folder. Inside this particular file, you save your MATLAB file, blank MATLAB file. Okay. Once you complete this in Zoom meeting, kindly raise your hand so I can able to see that how many students have completed the work and how many are still pending.
As participants, you can give your feedback to the speaker. Yes, good. We saw one hand there.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yes, Vivek, I think.
yes,
Can
yeah,
proceed.
I think 2 or 3 people have raised their hand.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is just the basic. You have to open your MATLAB file and save this particular MATLAB file inside this folder, which we have sent you. So first of all, unzip this particular folder and save your MATLAB file inside this folder. Okay, once you are done, kindly raise your hand so I can uh, increase the count. Okay, I believe now it is a time to move on to the next step. So on your screen, kindly type 6 lines like clear all CLC n sum is equal to 64, nt is equal to 128, nch is equal to 1, and then call the function reset all with these 3 parameters or these 3 names.
Participants, you can unmute yourself, and if you have any query, it has to be an interactive session, being hands-on. Okay, Govardhana wants to wait for some more time. There's one student who wants to wait for some more time to complete.
Okay.
participant who wanted us to give us some time. So he is done. Maybe we can proceed, Dr. Vivek.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So kindly type this information, type this code, 6-line code, and run. Are you getting any error? Kindly run this program. If you are getting an error, kindly unmute yourself and tell me you are getting an error. So depending upon the error, there are different sets of solution. So if you are getting an error, kindly tell me. Okay, so for everyone, this program is running. Kindly use the chat box and type yes.
Vivek, can you go to previous slide? There's a question in the chat that
Yes,
Vivek,
yes, ma'am.
did you read the chat box?
Yes, ma'am. I'm reading.
You are, yeah. So please start from the MATLAB process. I don't know where I have to save your zip file. Just go to the previous file so that they note down.
Yeah,
And then you can proceed.
Yes, ma'am. So the procedure is you have to unzip this particular file. So this file has many sub file inside. So you unzip this particular folder, and in this particular unzipped folder, or we can say in normal folder, you are going to save your code. So it is a general MATLAB procedure. Whenever you want to call any function, any MATLAB function, that particular function has to be there in your folder. If your function is not there, then you will get an error. So kindly locate Optilux _1 0.1 folder. Go inside this folder. You will find out one more folder with the name Optilux file. Inside this particular folder, you're supposed to save your MATLAB file. So simple procedure is you open your MATLAB and you save your .m file at this particular location.
Network தான் problem.
I think others will be waiting. Go to the next slide, yes.
Yes. So if you have done it very correctly, then you have to type, if you type this code and when you run this, you won't get any error. If you are getting an error like reset underscore all is not found, or some another kind of error that something is not found, then please tell me. So I will tell you a very simple procedure how to follow. So if you are getting, after typing this code, if you are getting any error, please tell me. So your error will be like within 30 seconds, we can remove that particular error. And then we can go ahead with our normal routine hands-on session. Ma'am, has your doubt solved?
This is Teresa.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are you, did you got any error in this?
Participants, are you able to run this code or do you have any error? Just yes, no, if you type in chat box, it will be easy for the speaker to proceed.
Yes, Lavanya has typed yes. Ramya ma'am has typed yes.
Yes for error or yes for successful?
Yes for successful, ma'am.
Okay. Because you're asking
Uh,
for error. So I was thinking.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Teresal ma'am, is your doubt clear? Okay, those who are getting an error and
I
okay,
think
candidate,
yeah,
those
I
who are
think
getting an error. Yes, ma'am.
no, I think she has made in the chat that it is done, so you can
Okay,
proceed.
okay, okay. So those students who are getting an error and are not typing in chat box, my advice is just go to this particular file, go to this particular folder, Optilex underscore file. There you will find one .m file name triple AAA.m. So locate this particular file, open this in MATLAB, and this file will work. Okay. So if you have already saved your file at this particular location, it is completely fine. Okay. Uh, so what we have done here is actually we have created the environment. What environment we have created? So first we have selected number of channel as 1, and we have decided that we are going to transmit 64 number of bits, or we can say 64 number of symbols we are going to transmit, and each symbol will have 128 points. Okay, so these points are, we say, X symbols. So when you do the total calculation, 64 multiplied by 128 is equal to 2 raised to power 6 multiplied by 2 raised to power 7, which will give you 2 raised to power 13. So 8014. 2 raised to power 10 is 1024, so you will get some 8048 kind of points which we are going to transmit. From laser we are going to transmit, and these are the points we are going to receive. So whenever we are resetting, we are actually resetting the value. You can always increase and decrease the number of this value depending on the application which you are targeting. Okay, so these are the number of bits we have decided here. Now we are going to call the laser. Okay, so right now we are actually designing the optical transmitter using OptiSim, using OptiLux. So first we will call the laser. So how to call the laser? So first we will tell them that P peak is equal to 10, which indicates it is 10 milliwatt. Lambda is 1550. It means my central wavelength is 1550 nanometer, and spec is zero 0.8. So this indicates that from 1550 will be at the center, from 1550.8 on right hand side your wavelength will be present, and 1449.2 your wavelength will be present. So it will be like triangular in shape. Okay, so we mean spacing of 0.8. So this is how we call the laser. Function to call laser is laser source. So when you type E is equal to laser source, P peak, lamp, and spec, it means we are calling the laser. Next, what we need some information. So to generate an information, or we can say generate a binary pattern, we will make use of function name pattern. So we will just write pat is equal to pattern. Inside this we need a random pattern, so we will go for de Bruijn series. So in de Bruijn series we need index 4. So we will type de Bruijn and index 4. So now we have my laser, we have our pattern with us. So pattern is actually binary numbers, zeros and ones, and we have laser which is in optical in nature. Now what we need this binary number to modulate my laser. So binary number 1 and 0 cannot do any modulation. So first we have to convert this binary number into some digital electronic signal. So to convert this binary number into electrical signal, we are going to use electric source as command, or we can say as a function. So this electrical source will take input as pattern. I need on off keying for the sim rate of 10 Gbps, and rising and fall will be according to crossroll with rolling factor of 0.2, and duty cycle is complete 1. So now I can able to generate electrical signal, and this electrical signal will be saved in elect. So kindly type these 4 lines too. Now hit the enter, or after typing all of this, kindly run the program and check whether you are getting any error or not. If you are getting a simple error, then please check the name, or we can say the spelling mistakes, if at all there are any. So we have designed the environment, we have generated the information, converted this into electrical source, or we can say in electrical format. We also have generated the laser. So now the next point is Mach Center modulator, on which we are going to put this to information so that my E will be modulated as per the generated pattern. So once you complete typing of this all 10 lines, please raise your hand so I can proceed for my next slide.
Participants, are you trying? Yes, just now we've circulated. You can tell them to check their emails. We have circulated.
Okay. Please check your email. This file I have sent you. So kindly check your email in .pdf file. You will receive all this instruction. So copy this instruction up to this point and paste in your MATLAB and press enter and check whether you are getting any error or not. Once you are done, kindly raise your hand. Okay. Okay. So now we have generated electrical signal. We have generated the laser source. Now our job is to modulate this particular laser source with respect to electrical signal. So for that we are going to use Mach center modulator. Now again, how to call Mach center modulator? For that we have to call the function mz underscore modulator. So in this mz underscore modulator, we are going to give them first optical signal E, it is a laser signal. Elect, elect indicates our electrical signal, is highlighted here. And in structure, we will say we are sending the information about extinction ratio. So extinction ratio is ratio of 1 to 0. It is a ratio of optical power at 1 to optical power of 0. So it is measured in terms of dB. We are setting up extinction ratio of 10. We are writing extinction ratio as X ratio. And initially we have assumed that X ratio is equal to 10. Once you type this information, you have actually modulated your information on the laser. Now we have modulated the laser optical signal with respect to our electrical signal. And now this is the point where we are going to first check whether my modulation has happened or not, or whether the modulation has happened 100% with 100% surety that yes, modulation has happened, and we can able to see. So once you complete typing up to here, kindly raise your hand or use the chat box. So on screen now you are able to see this is what we have typed up to this particular point. So first we have initialized our page with number of symbols. Then we have initialized our laser source. We have set up our laser source. Then we have generated a pattern. That particular pattern we have converted into electrical signal using electrical signal and optical signal. We have generated modulated laser source or actual optical signal. Okay, so if you have done this thing correctly, so it's a time that we supposed to see how does this signal look like. So now you're supposed to type this information, create underscore field, and inside this bracket you have to write type unique in inverted comma of this E opt, that is our actual modulated signal, or we can say the output of Mach center modulator. So when you type this figure number 1, plot field X, so we will get E opt the X we will get here at our actual output of Mach center modulator, and then in the bracket we have to write first P and rest all things are dash dash dash. So this will give us a pattern in terms of power. Here R will actually indicates the red color and dash line. So once you type this equation, or once you type this code, you will able to see your signal in time domain. So on x-axis we will have time, on y-axis we will have power in milliwatt. So this first P indicates that we are going to view our signal, which is we are about to transmit. Okay, or at the output of transmitter, this is what we are going to transmit. So students, this we can see on our DSO, the same signal right now we are observing using MATLAB. So time domain signal now we are able to observe. When you type second line, you can able to see the power spectral density versus frequency. Okay, so on x-axis we will have our frequency, it's 1550, it is here. And on the y-axis we are able to look at the power. Okay, and now how this power is distributed along the frequency range, that is observed when you enable this particular P at the third location. Now when you type this command, the third line, you can able to read the phase of your transmitted signal.
Excuse me, Vivek sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Uma Kumari from SRM sir. I have a doubt in the previous plot.
This one?
Yeah, here, why is the frequency in arbitrary unit? Can't it be in terahertz corresponding to the...
Thank you, ma'am, for asking this question. So when you convert your 1550 nanometer in terahertz, and when you divided it by the same frequency,
Okay.
you will get this particular point.
So you say this is the normalized frequency.
Let me just complete, ma'am.
Okay.
So the frequency range which are greater than this particular terahertz will be considered on the positive side, and similarly this will be considered as a negative side. So this entire range, when we say frequency in terms of AU and it is starting from 0, it means we are showing the normalized frequency range. Yeah, so your answer is correct, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Now this is the plot when we see it on phase versus time. Okay, and this is the Fourier phase, and when you enable all of this PA, so I want every one of you to observe up to here and tell me whether are you facing any difficulty. If it is done, kindly raise your hand that yes, it is done.
At
Yes,
least one or two participants, you try to complete it and motivate the speaker. He is very patiently explaining to you, giving a pause, giving time to make you do. So I think you'll have enough time to do it. Yeah, good. You got from one participant.
Yes, ma'am.
So one or two, you'll be very happy that it has reached you, because virtually conducting hands-on session is tough. So he's made his best effort and he's doing it so wonderfully well, patiently. So we need inputs from you so that can continue in the same pace.
Yes, ma'am. So once you're able to see the screen,
yeah,
it may
Vivek, I think there's a query in the chat box.
Chat box. Yeah. Govardhan sir, it's done. One small doubt. What is that P first? Yes. So this first P indicates power. We have to plot in terms of power and time, power in milliwatt. And this third P actually indicates we have to plot PSD, that is power spectral density, which is with respect to normalized frequency. And this first A indicates similarly this phase A, and second A indicates Fourier phase A. So depending on what spectrum you want to observe, whether you want to observe the spectrum on spectrum analyzer, you have to go for dash dash P dash. If you want to observe it on DSO, you have to write P and 3 dash. Okay, sir, shall we go ahead then?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so now we all are happy that we have generated an optical signal and it is there at our output of the transmitter. So now our 40% part is done. Okay, now in remaining 60%, we just have to call the fiber and we have to define their parameters of the fiber. And once you define the parameter, you have to call the function fiber tx comma g dash s x, and these are the command which I'm going to explain you in 2 or 3 minutes. So first let me give you a detail. When I type tx dot length, which is equal to 4 e raised to power 4, indicates that this is 40,000 meters, which is roughly 40 kilometers. When I say alpha in dB as 0.2, indicates that my attenuation is 0.2 dB per meter. When I say A effective or effective area is 72 micrometer square, my N2 value, which is a nonlinear index, is 2.2 e raised to power minus 20. Now from where I have got all this information? So from the specification sheet of Corning leaf optical fiber, I have grabbed all this data, and now I am substituting all this data over here. So what is the central wavelength of this particular fiber? It is 1550 nanometer. What is the dispersion at this particular wavelength for this particular fiber? Is 16.75 picosecond per nanometer per kilometer. What is the slope? Slope is 0.075 per picosecond per nanometer square per kilometer. Okay, and similarly, this d phi max and dz max are the nonlinear phase relation per slope and maximum SSFM steps. So this all informations are given in Corning leaf, which I have typed here, and then I'm calling my fiber tx comma g dash s x. Okay, so when I type g means I am enabling group velocity dispersion. So now dispersion effect will be enabled. When I'm keeping p here, it means I am enabling polarization mode dispersion. Since my length is less than 100 kilometer, that this polarization mode dispersion won't happen here. If we are going for higher optical modulation or higher type of optical modulation, and my length is above 100 kilometer, then polarization dispersion we have to make it enable. Anyway, if you want, you can keep that enable p, and if you want to disable, you keep dash. For both the cases, you will get the same answer. Now next, S indicates self phase modulation and X indicates cross phase modulation. So we have enabled dispersion and two non-linearities. One is self phase modulation, another is cross phase modulation. So now once you type this, I want you to copy paste your previous version or previous code, that is your figure number 1 to figure number 5, and only change you have to do is instead of R, just make it green, G dash, G dash. So what will happen on the same figure? This is the what we have seen in the DSO. First figure itself, it will show red bar as well as the green bar. So red will indicate what you have transmitted and green will indicate what you have received. So once you are done with the copy paste part, run your program and check what you are getting. Okay, So this is what we are going to type. We are going to type this length, this 7-line command, and we are going to call the function fiber, and then we are going to see from figure number 1 to figure number 5. And for our reference, we will again rewrite the same by giving them a different figure number. So now in my figure number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I will have just only output of my optical signal at the end of the fiber. Whereas in my figure number 1 to 5, I will have both the output. First output at the transmitter and output at the fiber end. So this both will be visible. So now if you are able to see all the figure, just type yes in the command box. And meanwhile, I will show you how does it look like. Okay, so in my slide, you are able to see this red color indicates information which you have transmitted. Now, please note this is the pattern which I have generated using de Bruijn series with index 4. If your index is different, or this information may vary at your place. So don't worry about the information. Just focus what you have transmitted and what you have received. So in your received part, you will be able to see some jumps. Okay. So as an engineer, now we can say, yes, my signal has undergone some non-linear attenuation or some non-linear interaction. Okay. Getting? Okay. So now I can able to sense that yes, my information went under some non-linear interaction. Okay. Now, as an engineer, if I ask you to design receiver for this, so for all the students, please note that when we say design receiver for that, it means you are just going to, since we have transmitted only 0 and 1, decision what we have to make is either received signal is 0 or 1. Okay, so using simple decision making circuit, we just have to keep our decision making circuit over here. Okay, so this is 0, this is 2, in midway it is 2, midway it will be 1. So I have to just check my received signal strength is above 1 millivolt, then my information received is 1. If my received signal is 0 or my received signal is below 1 millivolt, then it is information received is 0. Okay, so if I draw a straight line, I can able to detect 0 and 1. Okay, suppose if you go up a bit, okay, maximum received signal strength in green color you are able to see is 2, or we can say 3.5 peak it is going, but on an average it is nearly in the range of 2. Suppose your decision instance is at 1.75. Please pay attention. If your decision instant is here, then please look here. Now it is 0 and 1, 0 and 1. Your original information is 1, which you have transmitted. But now, instead of reading all the 1, you are reading 1 and 0, 1 and 0, 1 and 0. Look here, when you have transmitted entire 1 here in this package, but if your decision instance is at this particular line, or at this particular line, then you will read 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. When your decision instant is at 1 millivolt, then you know this all are 1, this all are 0. But if you keep your decision instance here, then again you will be, you might be getting some error. So this all non-linearity happening is only in the form of the fiber or inside fiber what is happening. But in real time, have you heard about burst errors? That errors continuously for a few seconds it is appearing and you are not able to it is a typical problem, or we can say a very dangerous problem whenever we say burst error has occurred. So this is the common example of burst errors. When you transmit a string of 1, okay, and due to some reason, some error has occurred, so it will be occurring only for this particular section the most. So what we will do, so some solution are using interleaver, or some you will use some code, right? So what we actually do, we actually spread this information. So instead of sending the complete package of 10, what I will do, I will write this package 1111, and then I will transmit this information over here. I will interleave the space. Okay, so that is right now not the topic, but from here you can actually see if you wrongly do your mapping of instant, or we can say decision making circuit, then you might get an error. Suppose if you come down for decision making, then also you will get an error. So we have to make sure that my error is minimum, and my decision, you have to design your decision instance such a way that your error is minimum. Okay, so this is what you will see in your first slide. Okay, so now you will see there are not much variation on the frequency band and phase, and these are the Fourier phase, and this is complete 4 diagram. So now you will see the attenuation which has happened after traveling into the fiber. You have seen some noise content, okay, and some nonlinearity content in this. So yes, you have observed all these things. So now let's, yeah. So now we have this figure number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So on figure number 6, now here you can easily see if your decision instant is at 1, you can easily identify 0 and 1. If it is above, then there will be some burst error over here. If it is little bit below 0.5, then again you will be having some error. Okay. Okay, so these are the individual files, individual graphs you are able to see. So now your 60% work is done. You have observed your transmitted signal. You have observed output of the, you have observed signal at the output of the optical fiber. So yeah, now your 60% job is done. Now only thing we have to do is the signal, we have to make it fall on the photodetector. Before that, we have to use optical filter. Yes, so now we will call optical filter. Yes. So before calling optical filter, if you are interested, we can share some info about, or some theory about dispersion. So in few lines, let me just explain you what is dispersion. So whenever we are using standard single mode fiber, we have only one mode traveling inside the fiber. Okay, so we have only intramodal dispersion. Okay. If you are using multi-mode fiber, we will have intermodal dispersion also. But right now we are only using single mode fiber. We will have intramodal dispersion. Okay, so this intramodal dispersion will have two types. One is it is a combination of two. That is, one is material dispersion, and another is waveguide dispersion. So this material dispersion is actually happening due to we are using a silica material as our optical fiber. So this is the variation of the refractive index as a function of the wavelength. So depending on the function, depending on the wavelength, my refractive index will be different. Now waveguide dispersion occurs due to shape of my waveguide, and if there are some impurities inside, then also this dispersion happens. So when the mode propagation constant beta is the function of this wavelength lambda, so now my mode will propagate, or we can say the constant which is appearing before that particular 1550 nanometer won't be same for 1551 nanometer. So it will again create the dispersion. Now by virtue of God, these two dispersions are opposite in nature. So with respect to wavelength, my material dispersion increases, and my waveguide dispersion decreases. So we will have one particular point where these two are cancelling out each other. So we do have one particular point where this dispersion is 0, and that particular point is lying in the range of 1200 to 1300, 1250 to 1350 range of nanometer for silica fiber. So that's why when you utilize your second window of optical communication, it is this particular point. Okay. We have more polarization, more dispersion. So when we are using two principal state of polarization inside our fiber, this dispersion occurs. And yes, we have a common Kerr effect, or we can say the nonlinearity present inside the fiber, which will again cause a dispersion, which are self-phase modulation, cross-phase modulation, and the four-wave mixing. Okay. Another important parameter which we have observed and we have analyzed in detail, and we came up with a paper in JO in Elsewhere journal, that optical power also depends upon, or depending upon the optical power, your self-phase modulation, cross-phase modulation, and four-wave mixing increase or decrease their effect of dispersion. So we came up with a paper, and we actually defined for 4 different practical fibers what will be their optimum power which we need to transmit. Okay, so our nonlinearity will be in under control, and our length and data rate will be the maximum. Okay, so this is all about dispersion. So now let's talk about the optical filter. So we have a wide range of optical filter available with us in Optilux. So one is first is Gaussian type of filter, Butterworth second order, fourth order, and sixth order ideal filters. We have Bessel fifth order filters, RC1 and RC2 filters. So right now in this my example, I have taken Butterworth sixth order filter with optical bandwidth of 2.5 gigahertz. So this one actually indicates that we are filtering out only one of the wavelength and not the all wavelength. But since we are using only one wavelength, we have type 1 here. OFT type is my Butterworth 6 order filter, and optical bandwidth is 2.5 gigahertz. So when you apply this change, kindly plot the function on figure number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we are able to see the difference that before optical fiber, what are the pattern, or we can say what are the signal, and it will be located, or it will be visible in green color, and after applying optical filter, the same thing are visible on magenta color. So now you can look here, the green color and magenta color. So we have stressed on the burst error occurring. So now can you able to see, after applying filter, now we can raise our bar of decision instance from 1.25 also. Like for 1.25, yes, this is working. It doesn't have any issue. So we can actually increase our decision instance. So my range on which I can successfully detect the signal is increased after applying optical filter. So this is the one of the observation we have observed in this particular slide. Now please look at this slide, PSD and frequency. So now we can see the difference without optical filter and with optical filter is significant enough. Okay, 100 dB is, it is like too much. If it is 40 dB, if you see the nearby range, then it is 40 dB. So this is like a huge improvement in the received signal. The quality of the signal will be too good now. So we have confirmed this quality on time domain as well as on frequency domain. So now it's time to let's detect the signal. Okay, so now after looking at this too, let's detect the signal and look at the eye diagram so we can comment more on it. Okay, so now we will type another sets of information, or we can say sets of command, that now I need optical filter to be Gaussian, and bandwidth 2.5 gigahertz. I need Bessel 15 filter as my electrical filter, and with the bandwidth of 0.65, or you can go for 0.75. It depends on you. And this rec will be your receiver type will be on off keying, and we want to plot the I with red color red, and x dot lambda is equal to lam, which is 1550 nanometer. Okay, if we are going for post fiber compensation, then it is minus 670 picosecond per nanometer. So how we come up with this is we know the value of dispersion, we know the length. When you multiply, you will get this particular function. Okay, so once you type that, you have to type your pattern. For eye diagram, you have to type this command. And on receiver, or we can say on the command line, if you want to read some of the values, so on command line, you just write down e print is equal to e naught. So we will get eye height or eye opening. And to find out the best sampling time, you have to type this information as ts, small ts. And the post fiber dispersion will be your xd post. So type this and run the command. So since file is already shared with you, you can either run the command, either type this or copy paste this up to this particular line. So you will be observing this kind of eye. So now your normalized eye opening is 0.1334. It is like 0.13. It is like too good. Now your best sampling time is not at 0, but it is before 0, that is 0.073. So now you know where you are going to sample. If you sample it here, you will be getting a proper signal. So once you sample, you will get your data, and on your data, where you are going to keep your decision instance will give you how much BER you are going to receive. Okay, so now you are able to observe the eye diagram with all this information. So it means you have successfully designed your optical transmitter, your channel, your optical receiver. So you have designed everything, and all the parameters are with you. Now, what are the variations you can do? Okay, if you are interested in that, in this particular case, which optical filter will work good, so you can rerun this test with different optical filters. So I have designed several experiments. If you do all these 9 experiments, you will be expert in Optilux. So first of all, you change your symbol rate. So once you change your sim rate, definitely your program will take a long amount. Your program will take a long time to simulate, but it will give you a more accurate result or more real-time result. Now, if you change your role, that is fall and the rising time and falling time, it depends how much it is on real time. So if you change that, you will get you can observe the change, what is happening, and how does it affect on your result. If you change extinction ratio, then also you can see the changes in eye. Definitely, if you change the length of your optical fiber, you will be able to see the attenuation and the dispersion effect. If you change your optical fiber type or optical filter type, then also you can able to change. If you change optical bandwidth, then also you can able to sense it. Okay, if you change electrical bandwidth of signal, then also you will be able to identify the change. So as of now, instead of length E is equal to 40, just rerun this entire code with 1 E5. What do we mean by 1 E5? 1 E5 means 10 raised to power 5, which is 10 raised to power 5 meters, which is equal to 100 kilometers. So rerun this using 100 kilometers. Look at the eye now, and you can unmute yourself and comment what you have observed. Again, if you face any difficulty, then please just unmute yourself and say, you can anyways share the screen and tell, sir, here I have faced a difficulty. You can even use our chat box to drop a message. Okay, so for 100 kilometers, are you able to see a very wide opening of eye? If yes, then type yes in the chat box. Okay.
Good.
Okay. And so now what you do, you
Good.
thank you. Thank you. Now what you do, you change that 1 e raised to 5 to 1 e raised to 4. And please check whether you are getting, what are the changes you are getting in your eye.
Good. There are many participants responding.
Okay, if you are not getting it the same, then you can even type on chat box that, sir, I am observing so and so. Okay, so now eye opening is narrowed. Okay. So you are able to sense the change, right? On the same code, right? So if you keep on saving this particular files, suppose you have observed something at 10 kilometer, if you have observed something at 20 kilometer, if you are able to observe some change on 30 kilometer for a real-time fiber, then even you can write down, one small experiment for optical communication lab, that these are the things we are observing in optical fiber, because in this virtual environment, um, what we have actually did in lab is we actually twist the fiber and then we tell, okay, now attenuation is more. If it is going above critical angle, then my attenuation is increasing, so now received signal strength is decreasing. So in similar way, you can design your own experiment. Now we can't explain the students in real time. So what we can do, we can write a code that you increase the length and check whether your eye is opening or shortening, or how it is making the change. So these are the few points which I would like to stress. Now you can also give them, uh, find out the PhD um, for without filter and with filter. With filter, how much dB improvement is there? So how much dB will, how much it will affect on your BER? Because when we talk about BER in optics, we mainly deal with e raised to power minus 12 or minus 9. But now standard is fixed, we have to go for 10 raised to power minus 12 and more. So if you just count 10 raised to my power minus 12, so it actually means when you transmit 10 raised to power minus 12 plus 12 bits, your one bit is in error. So if I use my calculator and if I just count what is 10 raised to power 12, so it will tell me 1 tera. If I transmit this 1 terabit and one bit is in error, one bit is going in error, then this much efficiency is valid for optical communication. If you are getting 2 bit in error, then no. Then your optical network is not valid. Okay. So if I'm designing this much accurate optical network and I want your help to do, suppose I'm transmitting 1 Gbps of information. So to transmit 1 terabit of information, how many minutes will be taking place? Or can you just do simple calculation using your calculator and tell me how much time it is going to take? So students are still solving. I believe faculty can do this a small calculation, and then we will wind up with the lecture. So if students are having some doubt, they can interact. So the question is, I have 1 terabit of information, that is 10 raised to power 12, and I am sending the information at the rate of 1 Gbps. So after how many minutes my all the information will be transmitted? Okay, so my calculation shows we will be requiring 16.67 minutes. So roughly we will just calculate it will take 17 minutes to transmit 1 terabit of information. So after 17 minutes or within that 17 minutes, if only one bit goes in error, then we can conclude that yes, our optical signal, our optical link design performed very well. If you want to design a network which performs without any errors,
1 Gbps.
Any queries from the participants? We could hear someone talking, but we couldn't understand what it was. Vivek, you
Yes,
can just find out if there are any queries because it's almost nearly 1
yes,
hour
ma'am. It
45
is.
minutes. So
Yes, ma'am.
participants also, if they're interested, we can have discussion. If not,
Yes, ma'am.
were you all able to get the output of at least the given program? Any queries? Yes, no, or you can unmute yourself. Any queries, questions, direct questions to Dr. Vivek? You can post your question. Do you have any more slides to conclude, Vivek?
No, ma'am. We have only 2 more slides.
Okay, maybe you can conclude, then we can have a discussion.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So as you change the length, you will able to see the after fiber what is actual the strength of your received signal after applying optical filter, how much is your strength, and later on you will be able to see how much is the eye height you are getting. So if your eye height is reducing, it means chances of getting an or we can say the chances of separation between 1 and 0 is actually reducing. So there are high chances of getting an error, or you may read 1 as 0 and 0 as 1. So that is one of the observation. Okay. So today what you have done, you have designed this. You have designed each and every component by your own. You have selected the parameter which are real time in nature. So you have designed optical transmitter, optical receiver, and the optical fiber channel. So with this, I believe nobody has any doubt. If you have, you can ask right now. So thank you, students. Thank you, participants, for kind attention. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Shanti Prince ma'am for providing me this opportunity to handle this hands-on training. And I believe I have done my work with 100% efficiency. If I have missed something, then do let me know, ma'am. Your input is always required. Your feedback is always required. Even my faculty colleagues, Uma Kumari ma'am, Ramya ma'am, Teresal ma'am, Manohari ma'am, our team, Suryakala ma'am, uh, for whom I know them. And if I have not taken Manohari ma'am your name, then please beg me pardon. Valarmati ma'am, if you have any feedback to send me, it would be a great help, because as a researcher I have experience of 8 years, but as a teacher I have experience of only 2 years. So you can always put your feedback. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Vivek, that was really great. You have surpassed more than our expectation. You've done wonderfully well.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good pace of teaching. I really admire your teaching. God bless you and wish you a bright academic career ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for your time,
Thank you,
Vivek.
ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a great learning, and it was very interesting for us to design the both the transmitter, receiver, and also the channel. I was also trying, but I was getting some errors in between. The MATLAB software problem. I'm sorry for that. So it was very great, and it was very helpful for me. Like, I was thinking of my fourth year projects and also it was a very good like idea for us. Thank you very much, sir. And with the patience with which you explained everything, it was really nice, sir. I'm really thankful to you. And for the participants, I have posted the feedback form in the chat box. All can fill that. And tomorrow we have Dr. Chao Shen, CTO, Sanu Technologies Incorporation, USA. He will be talking on visible light communication an emerging technology for smart city and IoT applications. We invite all the participants to join us for tomorrow's session as well. It's at 1:30 p.m. I invite you also, sir, if possible, please join us tomorrow as well.
Yes, sure.
And thank you to all participants for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I think,
There's
Vivek,
a
there are
query.
questions in the
Yes,
chat
ma'am.
box. Participants, you can unmute yourself and feel free to, if you have any questions. Questions by, I think, Mrs. Teresa.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I am getting disturbance here. That's why I messaged. Okay, ma'am.
No issues.
One question, Vivek. Can we use this tool without MATLAB?
Right now, ma'am, that option is not there. It is
Okay.
add-on for MATLAB. So
Oh,
we need MATLAB software to support this code because all
oh,
of these codes are written in MATLAB.
oh, okay. Because today only I installed MATLAB, so I got error. So I couldn't able to follow all the steps what you said. But anyway, in future I will try. And if you have any link, please share to me, please. Related to this
Okay,
tool.
ma'am. Okay.
Okay. I
Yes,
will.
ma'am.
You can, yeah, fine. You can use Scilab as well.
Yes. You can.
If still you want, instead of MATLAB, every end-to-end you want an open source, then you can use Scilab in connection with Optilex. It still wonderfully works well.
Yeah. I have one more information to pass to everyone. The same code I have saved with one AONE So it is like A1. There are no space allowed in MATLAB. So entire code I have typed there, and it is there in your opsim file. So you can double click on it and run the code without any error. So two files I have additionally given, that is AAA file and one is A1 file. So on these two files, you can just double click, open, run the program, and try to understand it step by step. Okay, if you have any query, you can always drop a message or email on vivek.kachate@gmail.com. And if you have any technical query, then you can first refer to ma'am regarding subject, and
You're
it's
all
always
experts.
welcome, ma'am.
Okay.
But it is always welcome from everyone of end. But if you have any optical network regarding query, then even I pose sometimes some questions to ma'am, how to solve this. So ma'am is frequent reader of all the journals. So ma'am will give you the correct idea, whereas I read now less and teach more. That phase is going on. So
Case for all
yeah.
teachers, even though we wish to learn more,
Yes,
teaching
ma'am.
takes most of our time.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Yes.
now preparation, earlier stages, you have to spend a lot of time for preparation so that you are well into depth of the subject. So later on, you'll have time for research as you grow.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you miss this period for preparation, then till the end, you'll keep learning. You won't have time for research. So first time when you start preparing, prepare to the depth, how much of possible. Explore fundamentals, then you can fly high.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
Vivek.
Ah,
Rohan here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it was nice presentation. I have one query. Maybe if you have any idea whether we can implement this in Python, you can just brief our new team because they are actively involved. So if you can let them know that we can incorporate these codes using Python, or we can develop our own codes. If you
Yeah.
have anything, you can please share with our new team. They are
Yes,
very much interested in that.
Yes. So, Opchen, I would just like to say that this MATLAB codes are actually derived from the equations, and the information is shared in the function file. So whenever you open a function file of the laser, you will find out what equation it is exactly following. So kindly use the standard textbook. I think Optical Network from Delhi publication. So I think that is Subramaniam from, if I am.
I don't know which book you're
Let me share that particular file with you. That PPT is there in my computer. Please wait.
They are from Tejas Network, CTO, I think.
Yes. So if you have this particular file, just cross check whether these equations are valid. and you can retype this equation in Python. It is just syntax will be some different, but things will be running smoothly. So on Python, you can able to get output in like few more minutes earlier than in MATLAB. So in MATLAB, it generally when you transmit huge amount of data, it is going to take 15 to 20 minutes to complete one program or one iteration. So, but if you have Python with you, then definitely less time will be taken. So it will be like 10 to 12 minutes. And the main advantage is you can save your data. So for next time, you need not run the same Python code. You can directly have it with you. So please wait.
Maybe if
Yeah.
you want to shift to Python, all functions we may have to rewrite and create functions are on our own. MATLAB, they've given the function box,
Yes, ma'am.
toolbox like they've given. So as
Yes.
he said, from the basic fundamental equation, we can build our own functions, which is we required, and we can actually start building the box, toolbox.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I think this can be taken up as small parts of small
Yes.
projects.
Yeah, it can be done.
Vivek, also one more just few minutes. If you can share your experience being the vice president of our OSA chapter, can you just share your experience for 2 minutes? Because we have many new members.
Yeah.
So just brief them on how was your experience, what advantages you got by being a member of OSA for 2 minutes. It will be helpful for the new team.
Yes. So first, let me complete my previous. So that book name is Optical Networks by Rajiv Ramaswamy. Okay. So just check that particular book. It is very, all the ideas are clearly explained in that particular book. Being a vice president, so first, always remember, I mean, the new team, please always remember that you are first OSA member, and then you are a president, vice president, or whatever tag is given to you. So being an OSA student member, try to contribute as much as possible. Okay, it is not like nahi wo to wo team ka, sorry. It is not like it is a work of a different team. It is a work of this person or this, it is the work of that person. No, it is a work of team. So first of all, we have to remember that we are a team, and this is the work which is assigned to us. Once this work is complete, it is not like peeping the nose into someone's work, but it is like if you are able to help them, and if they need help, then go there and provide the help or do the help. So sometimes few mails, you, if suppose a team is there to respond the email, so sometimes you need to look at the email which they are framing, and if some suggestions are there from your end, it is always appreciated that you tell them instantly instead of going through a ma'am, or it is like if you following the hierarchy, you can directly tell them that my vision and my idea is this, and you have to be very and pure in nature that okay, this is what we are expecting, and this is what we're supposed to type. Instead of this word, if we go for this word, it will look better, and in that particular sense, always try to learn more things, and try to have less name as possible. It is like don't be in in a mode that yes, I have published this, I have done this, I have done this. Yeah, do have proud inside, but don't show off much, because you are showing off, maybe the two more students who want to actually learn from you, they will feel like okay, whether should I contact him, he is a big person or he is a small person. So try to maintain the rhythm, try to be active with all the participants or all the members of OSA or OpGen. Don't differentiate. Okay, he is the OSA member and not the and he is OpGen team and not the member of OSA. So don't do any discrimination of any type. Just be there and just give you 100%. Don't wait for the name that if this is happening, then only I will do this. If this is not happening, then I'm not going to do that. So don't be in that mode. So this is what I have learned, and there are many things, official things, official communication which are required. So 90% of them are done by my colleague, the president itself himself, Dr. Rohan, and the small thing, the 10% remaining here and there was the my work. But see to it that your show is running on time and everyone is getting benefited. So it is not the only job of the president that he's purviewing everything. No, it is as a OSA student member or as a obgyn, it is your responsibility too, that everyone are getting, everyone are actively participating. If somebody has some issue, try to solve it then and there. If not, if you have some solution, kindly provide them. So then only it is like problems are everywhere, but we need to find the solution, the right one.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.